What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Same Philly Sports History for August 17th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Saturday edition of the podcast. Some quick programming and housekeeping notes before we get started. As I was going through the NBA Cup yesterday, it was the 5-team groups. There's 6 5-team groups. So the Sixers are with the Knicks, Magic, Nets, and Hornets. Pretty tough group, but that's what happens when you finish it as the 7th seed. Next Tuesday and Wednesday, I will be broadcasting from Penn State, not by choice. As you know, I'm a Temple guy, but got to be up there for my day job. So I will be at a new location, but still will get the podcast out in the morning before I have to go to work. And then be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, spread the word. But more importantly, even if you're listening to the podcast on Apple Pods or Spotify, go to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and help us out. All right, so believe it or not, last night's Phillies game put me one step closer to being back in the camp of their back. And the reason being is they're finding ways to win. There was a point in time maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, where the Phillies would have lost this game in extra innings, no doubt in my mind. But the fact that they were able to come back, win it with the walk-off in the 9th, thanks a lot, Trey Turner, I think that's a good step in the right direction. Again, it's the Nationals, but I think working some of those things out now, especially the way they played the other night, and then just kind of getting into sort of, okay, it's a close game, blown save by Carlos Estevez, and then you walk it off in the 9th and don't allow it to get to that point. So very much takes one more step closer into saying they're all the way back. I do think that for Carlos Estevez, that's not good, man. You can't be blowing that save with Brad Lidge and Carlos Ruiz in the house, man. But they did find a way to come back and win. They did leave 11 guys on base, but a positive, they were 5 for 10 with runners in scoring position, which is an improvement from where they were. Back at it today as they look to win the series. Cristopher Sanchez is on the mound. Needed a lights-out effort from him at home as well because Nola was good yesterday, 6 2/3. He no runs given up in that 6 2/3, so I will take it. Alumni weekend continues on. I think tonight is the David Montgomery getting inducted into the Wall of Fame. Couldn't think of what it was for a second, but a pretty cool moment last night with Chooch and Brad Lidge throwing out the first pitch. I couldn't hear because we were out to dinner and they didn't have the sound on, but I think they gave him the home plate from Cole Hamels' no-hitter, but I'm not sure. If you could leave a comment and let me know. I couldn't find it searching online, and but I think that's what they said they gave him. But it was a cool moment to see him throw the ball to Brad Lidge. And then Kruk and T-Mac are just phenomenal. I don't know if you've heard they were talking, I guess when they were interviewing Lidge, he said he's getting his PhD in archaeology, and they went on this talk about what does he do? Is he digging stuff up? And then I guess Jamie Moyer was either in the booth or within earshot because they're like, well, Kruk was like, Jamie needs to do something now. Or T-Mac, I think, said that. And Kruk was like, well, Jamie's so old, but by the time Brad Lidge has his PhD, he'll be digging Jamie up. And T-Mac just lost it. So those guys are the best. If you want the T-Mac Kruk shirt for 2024, the presidential either sign or shirt, Philly Goat's got it. Those are great shirts. So go to Philly Goat, check them out. To start your kids back to school shopping, stickers for the water bottles, all that other good stuff. But there is no one better than T-Mac and John Kruk. And Philly Goat is having the watch party down at the Palladium with John Kruk on August 25th down at the Palladium in South Philly. I'm 99% sure at this point that I will be there. So it should be a good time. If you come out, come over and say hello. Looking forward to it. But that is Sunday, August 25th at the Palladium in South Philly. And then be sure to get the McCarthy Kruk 24 shirts because they are phenomenal. Debating getting one, really throwing the people off in my neighborhood and getting one of the yard signs as well. But a good win for the Phils. I will take it, and let's win this series tonight, and then get ready for that big series. Next week is a huge week for the Phils, so gearing up for that. But they're in action tonight at 6:05. Cristopher Sanchez on the mound. And then be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. They're doing great things. Baseball, they're gearing up, I believe, in the next 2 weeks for the football episodes. So stay tuned for that and follow them on Twitter. Well, you can follow them on Twitter, the Clashing Conferences podcast. But that is available wherever you get your podcasts as well as YouTube. Council Rock, Newtown Little League. It's trying to avoid elimination tonight at 7 against New England. We'll be watching it. Hopefully the boys come out a little bit more relaxed than they did the other night. And then just go out there and have some fun, guys. If you're listening, go out, have some fun, and do the Philadelphia area proud. The Union are looking to get a spot in the League's Cup semifinals. They have been hot during this League Cup's tournament. They play Mazatlan, I think is how you pronounce it, or Mazatlan, down in Chester tonight. A quarterfinal matchup, team from Mexico. Not sure if it's going to be a more pro-Mexican crowd like it was when we went down for the Cruz Azul game, but hopefully Union fans go and show out as they look to go to the semis of the League's Cup. Big story yesterday, I guess, or the Eagles didn't practice, so I guess a lot of the talk was about backup quarterback and whether or not it should be Tanner McKee versus Kenny Two Gloves. And, I mean, I mentioned it. It looked like Tanner McKee was fine. I really do think that you need to put whoever gives you the better chance to win. And I think from what I'm seeing, Tanner McKee just seems more comfortable in the offense right now. I am pretty sure, I mean, Nick Sirianni said it, but I don't know if he's really going to say anything. But he did say that Kenny Pickett was the backup quarterback, but we still have 20-some days before the season starts. And when you get thrust into that situation, I guess a lot could change. I will say this as well. If we're putting our hopes on Tanner McKee or Kenny Pickett, that means some things have went horribly wrong. So it's one of those things, but to me, it's kind of a testament to how the team has played so well in training camp and preseason, though, that this is the big controversy. A lot of talk about the defense, which coming in was the big question mark. And I really like what I'm seeing so far. You haven't seen much out of Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in the preseason games. Linebacking wise, I think they're going to be okay. A lot of people are worried, but I think with the way Nakobe Dean has been playing, Zach Bond and Devin White, I don't think there's any cause for concern yet. I think from a secondary perspective, we're going to be okay. I want to see more plays like how Bryce Huff had the other night. But I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess I'll say, about the defense. But those were the two big stories yesterday. All right, today we're going to have a little bit of Phillies fun on Alumni Weekend and have a little doubleheader for the Phillies today. First, we're going to go back, and I'm already laughing because not that it's funny. It's just this poor lady. We're going back to 1957 today. And on this day, 1957, the Phillies beat the Giants 3-1. Richie Ashburn went 2 for 4 with a double. But more interestingly, and I do remember him talking about this lady and this thing when he was either on the radio or TV as a kid. He hit a fan with a foul ball twice in the same at-bat. So the first time, he fouled a ball off down the third baseline, hit this poor lady in the face, broke her nose. As the staff at Connie Mack Stadium were putting her on a stretcher, and I apologize laughing because it's not funny, but man, this poor lady, as they're putting her on the stretcher, carrying her out of the stadium to get medical attention, he hits another foul ball, hits her in the knee while she's on the stretcher, bruises her knee. And I apologize to this lady's family. I don't mean to laugh, but her name was Alice Roth. They were sitting on the third base line. At Connie Mack, she took her grandkids to the game. Got sent to Montgomery Hospital in Norristown. Richie Ashburn would visit her until she was released. They did invite Alice and her grandsons back to a game and gave her the royal treatment at Connie Mack. Luckily, she didn't have PTSD. But her and Richie Ashburn became friends and until her death in the mid-'80s. And like I said, I do remember Richie Ashburn on a broadcast talking about this. They would exchange Christmas cards, and I would like to think that the grandsons also stayed in touch with Richie Ashburn. But on this day in 1957, poor Alice Roth got hit not once, but twice with a foul ball from Richie Ashburn, breaking her nose and bruising her knee. I would love to know, if you're a statistician out there, what the odds are of that, because I feel like you got a better chance of winning the lottery or getting struck by lightning or getting eaten by a shark than getting hit by 2 foul balls in the same at bat by the same player, especially while you're getting taken out on the stretcher. But the Phillies did make it up to her, and Alice and Richie became good friends after that. And then our next Phillies event, 1985, we're going to go back to. And the Phillies beat the Cubs 10-4 at Wrigley Field. Juan Samuel, Glenn Wilson, and Mike Schmidt hit back-to-back-to-back home runs. This is another one of those events that I do remember happening when it happened. Darren Daulton also hit 2 home runs in that game, and Rick Shue hit a home run. So the bats were working for the Phillies that day. But going back to the back-to-back-to-back home runs, it was only the second time at that point that it happened in Phillies history. Since then, it has happened 7 times. Last time happened in 2020, back when there were the cardboard cutouts at Citizens Bank Park. Bryce, Alec Boehm, and Didi Gregorius went back-to-back-to-back. Pat Burrell, interestingly enough, has been involved in 3 of the 9 times that it has happened in Phillies history. Mike Schmidt was involved twice, but Pat the Bat being involved in 3 of the 9 Phillies back-to-back-to-back home runs. But the second time they did it was on this day in 1985. Juan Samuel, Mike Schmidt, and Glenn Wilson went back-to-back-to-back at Wrigley Field. Darren Daulton hit 2 homers, and Rick Shue added 1 as well. And again, that happened on this day in 1985. And finally today, our 20 questions in 20 days about the 2024 Eagles. We're going to recap yesterday's question. I said, who should or is going to step up as the leader of this team now that Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox are gone? 57% of you agree with me that it's going to be Jalen. I do think there's going to be other guys stepping up too, specifically on defense. But 57% of you said it will be and should be Jalen. Cannot disagree with that at all. So Jalen Hurts, time to step up and be the leader. And I think by all accounts, it seems like he is. So today's question, we're going to take a look at the rookies and which rookies are going to make the most impact. The Eagles had a solid draft. Like, I was looking back at it, and they took a couple projects that could need some work, but they have some potential impact players, not only for the future, but for this year as well. Starting with first round, Quinyon Mitchell. Looks like he's going to be the starting corner or starting nickel corner. And I think, but everybody keeps talking about that, of how that's a tough shift sometimes to go from nickel to outside. And he's handling it well. And Vic Fangio seems to be very pleased with what he's doing. And I think what that's going to do is help him moving forward in the future when he does become the starter on the outside. Cooper DeJean is coming back from injury, so we'll see what sort of how that hamstring holds up. Everybody keeps saying that now that he's back, he has the potential to overtake Isaiah Rodgers, or maybe not Slay yet, but he has a chance to be a heavy hitter in the rotation. So we'll see how the injury pans out for him. Jalix Hunt, it seems like he's been way further along than what they had expected. He came in as a project, had a lot of raw talent, but seems to be playing well. Could be a situational player and a special teams guy for this team. And I feel like somebody like that, anything you can get out of him is good, especially on a team that has question marks about their pass rush. Will Shipley has been impressing. I really think he's going to have a major role in this offense as sort of like a do-it-all kind of guy. And I think that's important because not that you want to treat him with kid gloves, because I feel like the Eagles are going to try to get as much out of Saquon Barkley as they can. But in order to maximize what you can get out of him, if you have a guy like Will Shipley who can come in and sort of be a change of pace, keep the defense on his toes. So I think he is going to have a bigger role. We talked about Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and I don't think his impact is going to be big this year. I do think he's got a legitimate shot to be a starter in the future. See him contributing on special teams, and I really, like I said, I like the trajectory. I like the potential that he brings. And then the other guys are more special teams and depth guys. Johnny Wilson, depending on who you talk to, some people said he's been great at camp as like a fifth receiver, maybe even the fourth. Others saying not so much. Have not heard much about Aeneas Smith, so he might be a special teams or a practice squad guy. And then Trevor Keegan is just going to provide depth. Big fan of Trevor Keegan, who won a national title for my Michigan Wolverines. But that's the rookie class. And I think that's a solid. I mean, we're sitting here talking about guys that have a legitimate shot. Quinyon Mitchell is going to start. Cooper DeJean is going to get playing time. Will Shipley could beat out Kenny Gainwell as the backup running back. I mean, so there's three of those guys. And then you got Trotter, who will get time on special teams. And then Keegan, who hopefully doesn't get a lot of time. And then possibly Johnny Wilson. And then Jalen Hunt, who has been impressing. So I'm high on this rookie class. I was high when they drafted them. And I think that the sky is the limit for not only this year, but for the future as well. But what says you? Which rookie is going to have the best year for the Eagles? Quinyon, Cooper, Will Shipley, or Jeremiah Trotter Jr.? 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that and anything else Philly sports related off your chest. You can also vote on all my social media, Facebook, LinkedIn as well. But which rookie is going to have the better season? Is it going to be Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Will Shipley, or Jeremiah Trotter? Let me know. I'll be 100% honest with you. I think it's going to be Will Shipley. I think he's going to be the guy that has the biggest bang for your buck, I guess, or the biggest impact. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell certainly should get some shots. Cooper DeJean certainly as well. But I think Will Shipley is going to be the guy where we're like, damn, that's a good pick by Howie. But what do you say? Who's going to have the biggest impact out of the rookie class? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. On this day, back in 1985, Phils went back-to-back for only the second time in team history. It's happened 7 times since. Last happened in 2020. And then in 1957, poor Alice Roth got hit twice by foul balls in the same at-bat by Richie Ashburn, breaking her nose and bruising her knee in the Phillies' 3-1 win over the New York Baseball Giants. We'll have more coverage on the Little League World Series as well as the Phillies. Let's win this series. Sanchez, let's go. Let's get it done, and then we can have a little bit of fun tomorrow. But like I said, it's alumni weekend. It's always good to see those guys come back having fun. So hopefully we are celebrating a victory, not only by the Phillies, but by the Council Rock team. Good luck today, boys, if anybody out there is listening, because really just go out there, relax, and have some fun and play your game. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for August 17th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Saturday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.